Thank you for joining us for this episode of Leading Change. My name is Emma, and I have Laurissa with me today, and we're going to be talking about the role of higher education in developing digital literacy. But before we get going with the questions that I've got for you, can you give everybody an introduction?
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me, Emma. I really appreciate it. It's great to chat with you today. My name is Laurissa Berk. I am the Director of Student and Academic Services at the University of Connecticut within their School of Business. So essentially, I oversee student life and academic affairs for 3 of their specialized master's programs. So that specifically is a Master's in Financial Risk Management, Master's in FinTech, and the Master's in Business Analytics and Project Management.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. So I want to get started with really just exactly what I introduced in that intro there, and talking a little bit about what you think the role of higher education institutions is in developing this idea of digital literacy, or kind of phrasing it a different way, like helping new people entering into the career environment or the working environment using workforce technology.
Yes. So, digital literacy, let's just talk about what we really think that is in the first place. So I think the most common definition is the ability to use information and communication technologies to find, evaluate, and create information. That requires both cognitive skills and technical skills. So I think that our role has to play into both developing those cognitive skills, which I think most important are critical and creative thinking, and then also those technology skills. So allowing students to have access to new emerging technology, having access to the technology that businesses and companies are using, whether that's even just, more experience with Excel, business writing, or how to use Teams so that when they get a job, they're not still kind of figuring out these things that those that have worked in companies have known for years. But I think, let's focus on, finding technology and the role higher ed can play in that. Let's kind of break the definition down, if you don't mind. So people find information through experts, through books. These days, it's mostly Google. It's now becoming, ChatGPT and Bard. That's, more upcoming. But you can't just type anything into Google and expect great results, or ChatGPT for that matter. You need to know what to look for. And so that what to look for, what to ask, requires some sort of knowledge base. The more information you can put into something when you're asking a question, the more accurate, the more detailed the response is going to be. We have a business librarian at UConn, and he is always telling our students during orientation, don't spend hours searching for something that I could find in 10 minutes, come to me. And so obviously, you get out into the workforce and you don't have that UConn librarian anymore, but you need to be able to have a knowledge base to even ask the right questions. So I think that giving them that information, that aptitude for technology, how to use it, what to ask, is incredibly important. I can say that in my previous role, I worked as the Associate Director of the Master's in Financial Risk Management. I have 10 years of experience developing and building and sustaining that program. And one of the things I did there was I worked with our marketing team for the SEO of our website. And what we learned is people are no longer typing into Google, let's say pasta plus white sauce, minus spaghetti, because they want to use linguine or something. They're typing in full sentences, like, how do I make the best Alfredo using linguine? And so understanding how to use technology, not just what they are, understanding human trends in society is also incredibly important. And I think that higher education has a real role to play there. When we talk about evaluating information, I think one of the best examples for this is not only knowing what to ask, but there was a recent example in the news of a lawyer in Manhattan using ChatGPT to defend, I think it was a personal injury lawyer, to defend its client, and ChatGPT gave him fake cases? And he even, I think, wrote into ChatGPT, are these real cases? So, obviously he knew he knows information. He has expertise, but he didn't evaluate that information, and kind of just the ability for someone to, again, critically think, take a step back and say, does this seem legitimate? I have this knowledge base. Can I tap into other areas of information that I've learned throughout the years, and really analyze whether this is accurate, whether I should be using this? I think although you have subject matter expertise, which is obviously what we're giving our students, because, as I mentioned, we work with specialized masters, right? They're going to have these quant skills. Still being able to just really evaluate, really take a step back, really understand that there's a lot of information, potentially disinformation or misinformation out there, and being able to evaluate it. Lastly, I think to create information, that means to be a thought leader and to be adding to discourse. And that's really another area where I think higher education plays a massive role. And again, to me, that is focusing on critical and creative thinking, being able to get information, disseminate it, analyze it, evaluate it, and then add to discourse. So on top of all of that, as I mentioned, the ability to understand emerging technology, how people are using it, what it's used for, what it's best at, what it might miss, so that you can really understand what you're asking, what the output might be, what it might be missing, and then really take all of that information, evaluate it, and then have a response or add to discourse.
So when we take a look at experiential learning, which is something that you guys have built into your programs, and or just kind of fostering digital literacy in this environment across the board, what are some of the things that you've found successful with that approach?
With experiential learning, I mean, it's just critical. To me, it's the difference between, just solving for X in a math equation versus a word problem, where you're, getting facts and you have to take out the facts, create your own equation, and then solve the problem. I think that's what experiential learning really adds to a curriculum, or co-curricular events, as we also do it at UConn. So, I mean, our curriculum uses a lot of case studies for that very purpose. So you're not just, solving for X, you're getting information, you're analyzing it, figuring out what you think the problems are, and then how to solve them. I think any learning helps foster digital literacy, general knowledge about the world, other topics other than what's just taught in a specialized master's, or, those hard quant skills are critical. I think information is just disseminated at such a rapid pace. So the ability to know at least a little bit of everything, or of some things, so that you have reference points of knowledge, you can draw lines, you can draw comparisons, strengthens your ability to think and to understand. So does that answer your question? I'm happy to expand with some case studies that we teach.
It does. Well, I think what might actually help is talking a little bit about, your curriculum at UConn across those different programs that you're helping to manage, and how you're supporting this, because just like we talked about, just even things like Excel and the rest of it, these business applications that people are expected to go use aren't necessarily always included in a curriculum. So can you talk a little bit about what you guys are doing firsthand?
Absolutely. I mean, experiential learning is just absolutely critical to our mission. It's integral to all of our programs. So we do a lot with it when it comes to experiential learning and incorporating it into our curriculum, and also co-curricular events. So one, we have guest lecturers and adjuncts that come from industry. So, we have, if we're doing a legal and ethical course, we've got a state representative from Connecticut that's teaching that course. We've got some really great experts that come in and talk to our students. We have some seminar courses in which people from various sectors of an industry come in, and you can really learn whatever topic it is that they're focused on really means to them, specifically in their type of company. I think that just gives students an understanding that, let's say, for example, risk isn't just one thing. It's not just one thing to the same person in every company. Obviously, we have internships and we're supported by a really great and dynamic career team. We have capstone projects, or they essentially are consulting jobs. So our students will work with a company, with a team of students. So they get that experience working or leading teams. Usually there's a faculty advisor as well. And they'll set toll gates with that company and present to them at the end of a semester or a year, however long the project lasts. And that allows them to get that really hands-on knowledge, hands-on experience in the industry, working for a real company on a real project, using and flexing their technical, their quantitative, and their critical thinking skills. Those projects have been a great success. We sponsor competitions for our students. So we'll sponsor students to attend the Bloomberg trading competition, Premia competition, a bunch of other competitions. They've done really well. If I may brag on our students for a little bit. We've seen a lot of success and them just, again, applying knowledge. We have hackathons. We do company visits. We sponsor students to attend conferences. And again, that allows them to dip their foot into industry, to also, these conference speakers are really talking about what's next, what skills are needed, some exciting projects, using this emerging technology that they're using in the industry. So they're able to kind of learn a little bit more about that. We do workshops, programming workshops on all of the up and coming, programming languages and other technology. All of our programs have a board of advisors, so they're advised by industry executives. So we get a lot of input into our curriculum and our programming workshops based off of that. Like, we're not using this tech anymore. This is what we're using now, or this is what we're using, but here's how we're implementing it now. It's a little bit different. Really ensuring that what our students are learning is what's being used. Our main goal is that students graduate and don't just get a job, but like they can hit the ground running. They know exactly what they're doing. They know how to use Teams or Slack. They know the emerging technology that's being used and why. They know its potential flaws and what they need to account for. On top of that, we do two other, I think, quite interesting things. We've got a leadership speaker series that focuses on how to lead. I think that there can be kind of like this archetype of what a leader looks like. But not everyone falls into, that archetype. And that's not the only type of leader that's out there managing companies. So really showing that you can have different personality types, different skill sets, and still be a leader. And here's how to manage. One of our main focuses is on managing teams, but specifically managing teams remotely, right? Because that's a whole nother skill set. And it may be, it looks like the future. We're working more remotely these days. And that's a skill that you have to have if you want to succeed. So those are some interesting things that I think that we're doing that's co-curricular, not necessarily in the classroom, but really supports this mission of creating leaders that understand emerging technology. And
well, thank you so much for joining me for the discussion. And if you're not already, make sure that you check out Laurissa's LinkedIn profile, as well as the program at UConn, and any of the events that you guys are at. You guys are there smiling and ready to talk about the program and how people can partner to help support you guys. Certainly let either one of us know if you've got any questions, but otherwise have a wonderful day, everyone. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Leading Change. If you liked what you saw, be sure to subscribe and come back weekly for more expert interviews on digital transformation, change management, and emerging technologies.